Hello and welcome to the Life at Leyton podcast with me, Sarah Glanville, as your host. Here at Leyton UK, we know our people are more than just their job. The careers of our people are part of their unique lives, and who they are as a whole person is what fundamentally contributes to their success and the success of our business. In the podcast, we'll spend time with one of our exceptional people from across the business, and in each episode we will look to explore the people behind the job titles, the unique and brilliant stories that make them who they are. In episode 3, I stole some time with the incredible Oliver Ivey, one of our most accomplished business development managers who left Leyton UK 6 months ago to transfer to our newly opened Vancouver office in Canada. Today, Oliver and I will discuss his life at Leyton over the past 6 years and how he has built a life across the Atlantic in Vancouver. We dive into his experience relocating with Leyton UK and the reality of what it's like to apply his coveted sales skill set in a completely different market. I can't tell you how much I enjoyed talking to Ollie in today's episode. This is a very real and aspirational conversation about where a career at Leyton can take you. So thank you for tuning in. Grab yourself a coffee and get ready to be inspired by the people that are Leyton UK. Hello Ollie, welcome to episode 3 of the Life at Leyton podcast. Thank you for agreeing to chat with me. This is a first for our little podcast. We're doing this virtually and from opposite sides of the planet. How are you today and how's Canada?
Not too bad at all. Canada is very wet this morning. Not a nice journey into the office, but that is standard for Vancouver. It seems to rain 99% of the time.
Well, you'll be well acclimatised to that after, moving from the UK, I'm sure.
Yes, yeah, this is true.
When I was planning our list of hopeful podcast guests, your name kept coming up, being suggested to me that I had to talk to you because you've got such an exciting story through your time and career here at Leyton so far. So I'm really looking forward to actually hearing about it from you. So to start today, could you introduce yourself for everyone listening and talk us through your life at Leyton so far?
Of course. My name's Oliver Ivey. I joined Leyton, I think, around 6 years ago. I initially joined as a inside sales, a telesales, whatever. The name has changed multiple times over the years. Initially, when I started within Leyton, I'll be the first to admit I was not very good at the job. I think I came pretty close to being pushed out of the door. Meaning I think it came down to the last day of my performance management for me to hit the target that I needed to keep my job. It was probably the kick up the backside I needed. I could always put in the back then. It was all about hard work, and I was happy to put in the work. I just wasn't very good at converting the hard work into actually something tangible like meetings. But once it clicked, it really did. I understood how to maneuver my conversations to get what I needed out of it. Trying to build some value rather than just pleading for meetings. So it took me 6 months as an inside sales, as a telesales to get up and running, let's say. The following 6 months was a completely different story. We started to really motor, booking some great meetings for the BDs then, and I think within another 5 months I was promoted up to BD. So it was actually a pretty quick turnaround, just under a year. Moving into BD, I was lucky to be managed by Charlie Precious from the very beginning. Poor guy has had so many years of dealing with my detritus, my crap. He learned from him. First meeting we ever did was down in Cardiff together at a company called We Build Bots, who are still a client of ours. I hope they haven't left us in the time I've been over here. and really went from there and strength to strength, learning so much from the management team. I didn't learn anything about sales from Charlie. I won't give him anything there, but there was enough people in the group to learn from. Jimmy Barth at the time was instrumental, and people like Dom Lambert moving forward. Then it was really, then I've moved into sort of management within the business. I wouldn't say it was my forte. My skills are really around the sales process. I hope I've been able to transfer some of that to the team. But yeah, a real learning curve, and actually that probably brings me up to today, trying something new, not wanting to leave Leyton, and yeah, that's where we are.
Amazing. I actually love that you kind of admitted there that there was like a bit of a challenge to start off with. I think that joining in that kind of inside sales role, or the sales development representative role that it's now called, it is a learning process. It's all about learning how to sell, and the metrics of the hard work that you need to put in, and how all the KPIs and the targets transfer to, the number of hours you do, the number of calls you have, the number of meetings you can get out of it. So when the process clicks, it obviously clicked for you, and it was the kind of start of something really exciting and special at Leyton, a long career that you've continued to develop and learn your skill set, which is great. Thanks to the great people that were in the business to sort of give you the knowledge and the ability to deliver.
Yeah, certainly. I definitely needed some training at the beginning.
I think we all do. I think that's part of the fun, isn't it? You need to get your head around it, and you have to have the work ethic and the open-mindedness to learn. But if you have those things, the world's your oyster. So you've achieved just so much in the last few years, and I guess that brings us on to what the challenge that you're currently undertaking, and it's the global mobility piece that's kind of going to be the central topic of our conversation today. Mm-hmm. So you're currently in our Canada office. Do you want to talk to me a little bit about how the transfer to Vancouver came about?
Yeah, I'm happy to. I don't really know where to start with. Honestly, it came out of nowhere. I think Charlie and I were having a conversation about what I wanted to do next, what I wanted to stay in the business, or actually whether it was time to move on or whatever. And I think I was being quite honest with Charlie. I've actually, God, it's annoying to give him compliments, but I quite respect him and we get on okay. So being quite honest with him, and one of the things that I said I might want to do is move abroad. And I didn't know if that was with Leyton or elsewhere. For me, London is always going to be home. I'm always going to end up back there, and I didn't want to wake up tomorrow, in a year, in 5 years, in 10 years, having never left. So it all came about just a quick conversation with Charlie, and things moved pretty quickly there. He had Antoine, my now boss, had been over in London and had a conversation with Charlie the week before. Obviously, I wasn't mentioned at this point because I was Leyton UK. And when I had that conversation with Charlie went off and had a conversation with Antoine to see if there was an opportunity for me to have a period abroad, working with him over here in Vancouver. And it seemed the stars aligned, I suppose.
No, that's so exciting. And I think that, you're clearly someone who likes a challenge and likes to be kind of continually moving forward and progressing. And it's great that there was an opportunity for you to try something different and to move with Leyton. Because if you have that sort of desire to see what life is like somewhere else, and it's great to do it with a company that you're sort of already embedded in, with a product that you already know, albeit tax will be slightly different in Canada, but you already have an understanding.
Yeah, I understand the principles of Leyton's. Leyton's methodology is the same across the globe, from what I am aware. So there was similarities, and it does allow me to sort of slot in rather than crowbar myself in, so to speak. I suppose Vancouver as well, because it's the I think it's pretty much the youngest office that we have in the group at the moment. It allows me to actually make a difference here.
Yeah.
As I said, I think I mentioned at the start, I think maybe I'm not the greatest manager, so to speak, but actually when it comes to coaching and understanding the principles of sales,
Yeah.
I think this is where my strength is, and hopefully that's what I'm able to give to this office here. They don't need somebody to manage. The team is only small. What they do need is that support and structure and understanding how Leyton work.
Yeah. Fantastic. You have bags of that, so that's brilliant. I mean, it makes complete sense to move, I suppose, with Leyton. Moving countries for a new opportunity is no small thing. You're literally packing up your whole life and taking it with you. So I guess, what factors personally did you have to consider when you were weighing up the opportunity to relocate?
It's a difficult one to answer that. I suppose for myself, if I'd sat there and thought about it for ages and ages, I probably would have overthought it and never made the
Yeah.
move. Um, so for me, I sat down and I said every time I'll always see London as home. I will be back at some point. So for what do I need to consider when moving is don't consider too much. Like take the risk.
Yeah.
My head was, what's the worst thing that can happen out of this? The worst thing that can happen is I go out here I'm now north of 6 months, but I come out here for 6 months, and you know what, I don't enjoy it, and I buy myself a flight home.
Yeah.
That is the worst thing that could happen. So I don't know. Well, one thing I should have considered was trying to sort out my flat in London before the last minute I
Yeah.
left. I cleared that out with about a week to go, which was miserable and took months after I left until it was ready to be rented out. But yeah,
Yeah.
so that's been bleeding money, but that's fine.
I think you can get a little bit stuck in your own head sometimes about making big decisions. And sometimes things just, as you say, the stars aligned, like it felt right and you just had to kind of go for it. And it's so true, like especially in the situation that you were in with the security of working still within the Leyton business, where you know you're going out and you know the company, you know kind of what to expect almost on that side of things. It is just taking the chance. And as you say, if something goes wrong, or it doesn't quite work out the way you thought it was going to work out, you can just jump on a flight back home, and you still have a life here that you're able to slot back into relatively easily.
Yeah, I sort of try and forget that I've got that as a buoyancy aid almost. Like
Yeah.
I tried, because otherwise you just worry that it's exactly how and I still think about it, but I try not to think about it too much, because everyone has bad days in their job, and I'd
Oh,
had it the other
totally.
day, and I thought, God, I just want to go back to London. I was like, that's a ridiculous statement.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just I think as much as I know it's there, I try and keep it to the back of my mind, and make sure I'm making a success of here.
Yeah.
I'd hate to come home with my tail in between my legs, so to speak, having not performed at the standard I
Yeah.
expect of myself.
Yeah. I mean, what's that saying? It's like we never grow in comfort zones. Like you have to push yourself outside of your comfort zone to grow and to develop. And I think you kind of identified in this opportunity that you're at the point in your career that this is the next stretch. This is the step. Do you know, you tried people management, and you know that your strength is as an individual contributor and coaching other people within the team, not within a management capacity. And this is the perfect opportunity for you to stretch your sales
Yeah.
skills and to take it into a new market.
Yeah, I would agree there completely. I think there will be a time and a place for me to go back into management,
Yeah.
but at the moment, I still have so much to learn about
Yeah.
probably myself and how I manage myself, that managing
Yeah.
other people, it's that stressful thing where it's almost I struggle sitting down with managing people when they're doing things wrong, and I'm not very good at getting them to the next point. So yeah,
Not everyone has to go down the people management route, and this is the
yeah,
great thing about having opportunities to take steps literally internationally, like sideways, in a company the size that Leyton is. So it's great you've had the opportunity to do that. You
Mhm.
mentioned your flat and the logistics of your flat, but I was going to ask you, what was the process of moving to Canada like? Like actually the logistics of it. I can imagine it was quite a challenge in itself.
I, you know what? The challenge was I just didn't know where I was in the process. Actually, from Leyton, I had so much support. So actually over here, I had lots of support from Jill and her team in the UK. We also had an external law firm working on my visa application, etc. It was from my perspective, I had to fill out some forms, get some photos, go have a checkup, get my fingerprints taken, like easy step-by-step process. It's that I didn't really know when it was open-ended with when I was going to be able to make it out here. Antoine wanted me out here as soon as possible. It was getting close to Christmas, etc. And then suddenly it came through. Time out here. Can you get out here in 2 weeks? Yeah, I can. I think so. I think I can make that. And then it was like, oh
God, I have a flat to pack up.
Which wasn't great fun having to do that. But we got there in the end.
Yeah, I can imagine packing up your flat was an absolute nightmare. But in terms of like visas and stuff, it sounds like that all went really smoothly. Like it was just a case of you doing the forms and stuff, and then it all happened.
Yeah, it was form after form, but absolutely. So I was guided through the whole process. I think they had worked with the same firm, had been helping with Antoine's, etc. So actually, pretty straightforward there to get me out here.
Fantastic. And I'm really keen to understand what challenges you faced transitioning to delivering as a BDM in a new country, in a new market. Like, of course, you bring your skill set with you, but how have you had to adapt for Canada?
Well, I think we spoke about at the start is learning that new product knowledge, tax knowledge. So I sell both into the US market and the Canadian market. My product knowledge at the start, I come from having worked on the same 2 or 3 products for 6 years and know them at the back of my hand. To trying to understand the intricacies of the products over here was difficult, shall we say. And actually, it would have been, as we're a small office in Vancouver, that was probably I would know exactly where to source the information in London or in the UK. If I was struggling with some product knowledge, I know who to go speak to about X product, Y product, etc. Over here, it's really a sales first function with a few consultants, etc. And actually, I don't know the consultants very well. I don't know who to speak to. Actually, trying to identify the right consultants in the US to speak to. I was lucky. I signed a couple of early contracts, and actually, those poor people who got my first 2 or 3 contracts now just get 99% of my questions. So
I'm sure
that was difficult over here. I think also you talk about how as an individual I like to sell. I think my knowledge has allowed me to differentiate myself against others, and I can't do that. I am not a fountain of knowledge over here. I don't understand all the principles. I don't understand the tax behind it. I don't understand especially the American, the forms. The forms are all labeled 170D. I don't know. Why do they call full-time staff W-2s? Why can't they just be called employees or PA? I don't know. 1099s. I don't understand all these numbers and abbreviations and so on. So even when I'm speaking to clients, I try and hold my own, but there's moments where I have to just admit I'm sorry, I'm from over the pond. I actually need to check with one of our consultants for that. I think it's important where if you're confident in what you do, but you need support, I think always use it. One of the big ones that I suppose people listening in the UK will laugh about is I've actually had to make phone calls again to try and build up my book of clients. I have no referral partners. I think I might have my first coming up now. We've delivered some work for them, but having relied on my referral network I continue to build it has meant I probably made 30-40 phone calls a week. I think I made 120 phone calls yesterday.
Yeah.
So it's a bit different. I wish I had my referral network. I wish I could work out the best route, but things are different over here. The market is different. The way people work is different. So still need to understand that. But yeah, I can't even remember what the question was. I hope I've answered it there in some
You
roundabout
have.
way.
No, you definitely have. That To be honest, I actually love that you've mentioned the two challenges that you have. So, going back to having to kind of relearn the products and start almost afresh again, just understanding the product knowledge. And, I always talk to candidates who are considering roles about how becoming almost a product expert and really understanding the tax products that we offer is what differentiates our good BDMs from our great BDMs, because it really is that level of understanding that can differentiate you in the market from speaking to other people in other consultancies or accountants who just don't have the understanding of the technical side. So I love
Yeah.
that you're having that challenge again, because it's something that's probably very relatable to people who are joining the business here, is that you just have to open your mind up and be ready to kind of take a step back and say, do you know what, I don't understand this, and ask the questions when they come up, or just be ready to learn again. It's always
Yeah.
new.
The good thing is we do have people a lot smarter than me in the business, so I can always
Yeah,
rely on them to answer my questions.
yeah, absolutely. It's knowing that it's okay to ask, and everyone's really happy to help. For sure. And the second challenge being that, you're not having you don't have the referral book yet. And especially we're recruiting for experienced BDMs who are coming into the business who may have a strong network or referral network in their previous role in the previous industry that they've worked in, and they'll be facing the same challenge as you again, coming in and having to just hit the phones and build yourself
Ho-
back up again.
Hopefully they can use some of their referral partners or people they've
Yeah,
worked with in the past. Funnily enough, I didn't know any CFOs in North America really.
yeah.
Um,
It's completely fresh.
yeah.
So now I've heard about your challenges, what's been the greatest achievements that you've made since making the move across to Vancouver?
Well, my skiing's improved
Great.
drastically, so that's very good. But work-wise, it's a difficult one to answer. I don't think about. I think I'm quite happy with what I've achieved as an individual. Actually, my greatest achievement over here has been there was a gent who joined on the same day I did when I started.
Yeah,
Um, and actually, the first few months, he's come from an account management role, and probably there was a few skills that needed sharpening, so to say. He probably, I think he'd be the first, if he listens to this or whatever, he'd be the first person to go, yeah, fair
yeah,
enough. But actually, I've been for the last probably 2-3 months, I've been helping him, and actually, it's been so rewarding to watch him develop as an individual. He's gone from
yeah,
I loved him at the start. So he had all the attributes that I want. Well, not all of them. Let's say he had one attribute that I loved. So to speak, bloody hardworking. Um,
yeah,
he he's first into the office every morning. He's there. He works hard. Doesn't distract himself with trivial stuff around the office,
yeah,
and just gets on with it. To see him struggling was hard, and actually maybe there, because we're a young office and actually there isn't loads of people to give him that support. I tried to step in there, and he's gone from strength to strength. That hard work is really starting to
yeah,
pay off now. He's starting to get the contracts. If you see I've been shadowing all of his meetings, and actually the
yeah,
confidence in his meetings. The one thing I always speak about, if you look at with BDs, is their control of a meeting. I want to see that
yes,
they control the tempo of a meeting. I want that they control the outcomes of a meeting. And suddenly, this gent has really started to do that. You can see him dictating where the conversation needs to go because he needs X information. He knows that's a selling point for himself, how he can move that client to the next stages, how he can
yeah,
align with what they need to achieve. he's improved tenfold over the last couple of months, and I can't take all the credit, but it's just actually greatest achievement, or what makes me the happiest is surely an achievement, and that's probably the thing that makes me the happiest here in Vancouver is seeing him develop.
I love that. That's fantastic. That's really great, and it sounds like, you know, you've come across to Vancouver to stretch yourself, but you're obviously bringing with you the ability to help other people develop and grow as well, and they're becoming better at what they do because you're there too, which is so rewarding. I'm not surprised that's your greatest achievement so far.
I'm a bit worried he might have a better month than me this month.
Well, maybe you just have to go into your one-to-one and say, yeah, I helped with that.
I think I don't want to take any credit there. I need to beat him on my own merit.
Yeah, there you go. That's an incentive for you.
Yeah.
We already kind of touched on this already. You already mentioned the great help that Jill and her team and had sort of helped you with in the move across to Vancouver. But what support in particular did Leyton UK and the global business give you to succeed in the transition?
If you actually put it back, actually, everything happened over the years before I moved over here. The reason I'm here is because of all the skills I learned, everything I developed. I've learned so much from Louis Power, Jimmy Barr through the days, Dom Lamman. They all taught me so much as an individual. They taught me how to be a BD. Precious also taught me a hell of a lot. The man he's given me so much abuse about my organisation, about me not shaving, whatever it may be. But he's actually given me a structure. For example, the way I structure my days now is organised. I was all over the place years ago. I would never. It's mad to think. It's absolutely mental that I think I might be one of the most organised people in the Vancouver office, which is nuts. I am all over the place. My brain is all over the place, but somehow I've come over here and it's like the sky has opened and I am an organised man. It's mental. I don't believe it. It's probably just a dream.
Are people going to be very surprised at that back here if they listen to that?
I think Charlie would be. He would just laugh. It's always been there when I sell. Structure is always present with how I sell. Everything's organised from start to finish. But actually, in my day-to-day life and what I needed to do or whatever, it would just be what I fancied doing at that moment. There would never be a list to work through. There would just be, if this is what I've got to vaguely do today, I'll get through it. And actually, because I've probably got to spend a bit more time selling here and actually trying to build my network, I've really lent hard on having some day structure to make sure I actually have time to sell. I hear people talking, oh God, I've got a million follow-ups or whatever. Actually, it doesn't take that long if you're organised about it. I also probably have picked up quite a lot of skills from Swifty's team and all the coaching there. It's an odd one. So when I first started, the training was very different to what it is now. Obviously, Swifty's made it his own and greatly improved it. It probably needed doing. On my first day, we were sort of given a laptop. We put in a room for a bit. We had a quick meeting about Leyton and how to sell and what the product was. A couple of examples, and then I think 2 or 3 days later, we were on the phones, giving it our best, trying to book some meetings. Now it seems like there's such a structured training process, and actually, when I had new BDs joining my team, they would come out and you'd speak about the things that Swifty had taught them. I go, oh, I didn't get taught that when I was younger. That's nice. Thank you. I'll steal that. There's everyone. I always use the expression. It's just essentially a good salesman is like a Frankenstein. It's an amalgamation of everyone who's taught you. So all those people I've mentioned above, there's probably more to be named. I've stolen so much of their brain matter, so to speak,
Yeah.
to hopefully make me who I am, which has made me who I am. There's no hopeful about it. I've learned so much from them. So
Yeah.
that's what's made the transition over here a success.
Awesome. No, it's funny. I come from obviously a recruitment background, and that's the old thing is you would come in on day one and they would give you a phone and a telephone book, and you just had to start calling people and talking to people. And yeah, I think that you can see the investment in giving people the skills to succeed. Now with with the talent development team, but also just the time that people spend with each other, trying to sort of impart knowledge and share best practice across the business. At Leyton, you can see, and it's obviously paying dividends. You've reaped the rewards from it, being able to come away and take all your skill set and all your knowledge with you. It's fantastic. I guess I'm excited to know what life looks like for you now you've been in Vancouver for over 6 months. So outside of the office, you mentioned skiing. What are you
Yeah.
keeping yourself busy with?
A lot of skiing. I'm
Yeah.
actually off tomorrow's Easter weekend. Sorry if I shouldn't give away when this was recorded.
Oh no, it's all good.
And off to Whistler for Friday, Saturday, Sunday or something. So
Yeah.
we'll get a fair bit of skiing in up there. The snow looks brilliant. I was at the Vancouver Whitecaps last night, which is their MLS team.
Yeah.
Possibly some of the worst football I have ever seen. But an experience. I don't think I'll be getting a season ticket anytime soon.
Yeah.
But enjoyable. They're not going to replace Fulham in my heart. I'd much rather watch Fulham on TV than go to
Yeah.
a Whitecaps game. No, sport has been quite a big thing. So watching the Vancouver Canucks, that is actually enjoyable. They are
Yeah.
actually relatively good. They're probably mid-table side at the moment, so I can relate to that as a Fulham supporter. It's been in all honesty, it's quite a tricky place at the beginning in Vancouver to sort of you make your friends.
Yeah.
I will say that it's dark in the winter and nobody really does very much apart from
Yeah.
outdoor skiing, hiking, whatever it may be. Well, they do a lot, but those are the things they do.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, those aren't the greatest ways for you to actually build up a friend
Yeah.
network. Thankfully, that's slowly coming over here. I sound like a complete loser. No, I have plenty. I have some friends. I got like 2 or 3. It's fine. But yeah, that's been the struggle. But now it's sort of coming into summer. But the beaches start to open up out here. I think we're getting in the territory that we'll be down at the beach every day after work, which will be beautiful. It's starting to climb. Everyone I have met in Vancouver says they live here not for the winter, which is what I thought people did over here. It was just to have access to the mountains. They say no,
Yeah.
it's for the summer. The summer's the incredible part of time over here.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds awesome. It sounds like you live your life outside, which is such a lifestyle that a lot of people I think aspire to. I am not a great skier. I've been on one ski holiday. It was okay. I was pizza slicing down the slopes the whole time. But I can imagine that it's just the best experience having access to that. I love snowy mountains.
I wasn't honestly. I hadn't skied much since I'd skied probably 2 or 3 times since I was 13.
Yeah,
I skied a lot until before I was 13.
yeah,
And then came out here and it was like getting on a bike again. I was
yeah,
lucky to the gentlemen in the office are rather good skiers. And they take me out and push me a little harder every week to do something a bit more stupid. But now
yeah.
I'm absolutely fine. I can get down everything with them, and we spend a lot of time trying to hunt down the best snow, which actually isn't very difficult at Whistler.
I can
It's beautiful.
imagine. Fantastic. And yes, so what's the summers like? Is it, you say it's like fair weather, like it's really nice? You want to head out to the beach?
Yeah, I think from what everyone said, it's sort of 20, 25 degrees every day,
Perfect.
The rain stops for a couple of months, and everyone's down at the beach after work. My housemate plays volleyball every night. We've actually got our own net and stuff, so that's I think taken way too seriously for me. I don't think I'll be partaking. But yeah, so everyone's down to the beach, a few beers after work. It's completely different to London. I'm not gonna lie. I will miss a summer garden in a pub garden. Sorry. But yeah, it'll be a nice change. I will also try and explore a fair bit, get out to the mountains again. I think everyone goes hiking the whole time. I need to work out what my sort of summer sport is. I'm thinking I'll take up fly fishing again, which also I haven't done since I was 13, 14 up in Scotland.
You're rediscovering your youth over there, Ollie. That's great.
Yeah, escaped London, and now just taking up everything I did as a child.
No, it's awesome.
I think they call that regressing, but yeah.
I thought you were going to say a midlife crisis there.
No, I'm not that old. Thank you.
Oh no, it's brilliant. It's just great. You know that London's there when you want to come home. You've just got this opportunity to go and live this completely different life for a little while. It's awesome. The last thing I kind of really want to ask you is if you have any advice for anyone who would be considering taking the jump and working overseas at some point.
Take all the opportunities Leyton has to offer. You'll only regret them later in life. It's going to be a challenge. There'll be bad days, there'll be good days. Just think about the positives. Well, that's my view on it. Learn from others as well. I mentioned about 4 or 5 names, and those are the people I'd learned from at Leyton in the UK. I've probably got a new 4 or 5. I've stolen so much from the people I'm learning from over here. So it's just a great opportunity to continue your development and do something different. I think about the place what you want to achieve, what you want from outside of work when you're thinking about where you want to live. Like I'm happy I chose Vancouver because it is the polar opposite of London. They couldn't be 2 different cities. Everything here is made for the outdoors. Everywhere there should be a pub. There's a bank. Why do you need so many banks? Banks are on every corner. They should have pubs there. They don't exist here. They have bars everywhere. They love bars. They love TVs in bars with sport everywhere. They don't it's not, I would say London is a much more sort of sociable city, but once you've found your group over here, so have a think about where you want to go and what reason you want to go there. I'm very happy I came here. It was for the outdoors. So really take the opportunities, learn from Leyton, learn from others around you. Would be the bits, and obviously make sure that you pick the right place for you. There's offices opening, there's offices all over from Leyton, so pick it.
Yeah, we have 16 countries to choose from now. It's very exciting.
Do we have an office in all 16 though? I think aren't they? One of them's remote, isn't it? Isn't it worked out of
you're catching
another
me
country?
out. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think so. 1 or 2 of them are.
I'll double check my facts.
Thank you very much.
No, fantastic. Thank you so much, Ollie, for joining me for episode 3. Do you have anything else that you want to mention before we sign off?
Great salesmen have control, bad salesmen prey. And that would be my final piece.
There you go. Thank you so much. Right, fantastic. Thank you to everyone also listening to us along at home. We really appreciate your time and attention. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time with our 4th episode. We're not slowing down. There are so many exceptional people to meet. But until then, if you're one of the members in our talent community and you're interested in finding out more about what the future might look like at Leyton, please reach out to one of us here in the talent team. I'll put my contact details in the description below, or check out our careers page for the roles that we have live currently. We'll be back in a few weeks. Thanks again, Ollie, for sharing your story. Thank you all for listening in. This has been episode 3 of the Life at Leyton podcast. Thank you.